Get ready for Season 3 of the Tron Grand Hackathon 2022 with a total of $1.2 million in prizes across Web3, DeFi, GameFi, NFTs, and the newly added Academy and Ecosystem tracks. The wait is over. Tron Grand Hackathon presented by TronDAO. To learn more, visit trondao.org. All opinions expressed by hosts and podcast guests are solely their own opinions and not necessarily those of the blocks. Podcast guests may have taken positions in the assets or other matters discussed in this podcast. This podcast is for informational purposes only and should not be relied upon as a basis for investment decisions. For full terms, visit theblockcrypto.com/terms-service. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to The Scoop. I'm your host, Frank Chaparro, editor-at-large at The Block, and we are in San Francisco, joined today on the other side of the mic in person with folks from Circle and TBD of Block. Joining us today are my guest, Emily Chiu, the founder and CEO of TBD, or COO.
Yeah, I haven't TBD. Been promoted to CEO
Not yet.
Not
maybe
yet. Maybe one day.
After this show, people get the scoop bump. Emily Choi of Coinbase, she came on the show. The next week, she was promoted to president and COO.
Wow.
So
okay.
You get the bump.
I'm feeling the juju. It's
the
good.
juju. And then, of course, we have Kash Razzaghi, Chief Revenue Officer at Circle. Thank you guys so much for joining us. We have some big news to share.
Absolutely. Thank you.
So walk us through this partnership. I mean, both of you have kind of been eyeing and exploring stablecoins for a while. You guys are, Circle being the poster child to some extent of stablecoins. Jeremy Allaire probably just exudes the power of stablecoins. How have you guys gotten together and what's the partnership?
Why don't you go first? This is incredible. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, we've known Jeremy and the team at Circle for a while, and it's just been a great relationship and just so energizing riffing with the team on how we could join forces and what we can actually do with, as you said, the power of stablecoin and specifically USDC. And so these are conversations we've been having for a while and really excited to share more about how we're going to partner and a lot of the really cool use cases that we're going to unlock.
I think from our perspective, we're looking to work with companies that are mission aligned about bringing economic prosperity through the frictionless exchange of value. And when we started talking early in March, I think it became very clear about what you were looking to do with TBD, in fact, and how USDC can be a core component of that. So we're really excited about it and happy to talk about it more.
Yeah, so what exactly are you leveraging from Circle?
Yeah, so TBD was set up to solve really hard problems in decentralization. And we started by thinking about what does it take to bring the next billion people into crypto to benefit from crypto innovation. And one of the hardest and missing foundational pieces that we saw was the fact that, one, there's absolutely no decentralized way for people to easily access on-ramps and off-ramps between the world of legacy money and the world of crypto money, right? And so for the average person who isn't a crypto native, it's kind of ironic that getting into DeFi requires you to first onboard through a centralized player, and then navigate the hoops of understanding how to then move that crypto from a centralized exchange into your own wallet, move that from a wallet into the protocol that you want to actually engage with. And it's expensive and it's inscrutable for most people. I mean, even for me doing it myself for the first time years ago, it was like I needed someone standing behind my shoulder, walking me through every step. And as we think about what this industry needs in order to bring it to prime time, solving for direct, decentralized on and off ramps that enable newcomers to crypto to be able to benefit directly from this. And for those who are crypto natives already, to have easy off ramps back into fiat when you actually need to pay rent, buy your groceries, pay for things in the real world. We're solving that problem. And for us, USDC and stablecoins are really the bridge. And they're the bridge for a number of incredibly powerful use cases that we can talk about.
Yeah, what do you think is the most prominent use case?
Today, the one that we see the most and the one we're excited to work on with Emily and TBD is the cross-border remittance. We keep talking a lot about real-world utility and when is it going to expand beyond speculative aspects of its nature? And today, we see this all the time with countries around the world that are in distress, that need financial capital. How do you send capital to them? Today, it's broken. Every step of the way for me to send money back to, I'm from Iran, and so Iran's going through a turbulent time right now.
Yeah.
For me to send money back to them, it's riddled with fees and time, and money gets lost. So cross-border remittance is the one that we're really excited about as the first use case.
Yeah. So you can think of this as you guys are providing the stable coin, right? And you're creating a sort of framework around that for folks to send money across borders.
Yeah, that's
exactly
right. Yeah.
And what is the UX of that?
Yeah, so we're really focused on the infrastructure layer. And so for us, the important piece is really abstracting away all the hard challenges that make it incredibly easy for developers to build. And so literally, we take a lot of inspiration from companies like Twitter. Mm-hmm. With 2 lines of code, you can build communications into your app without having to understand the entire infrastructure stack of communications. And similarly with us, we're solving for really hard problems around identity. How do you prove you are who you are? How do you prove that you have title to the goods that you say you are? When you're transacting in the real world and when you're transacting in fiat, these are all critical things to solve for. And our protocol really allows people to go from fiat into stablecoin back out into fiat.
Got it. And other companies can leverage that to offer a service to their end client.
Exactly. It's permissionless. It's open. Anyone can join us in doing this, and it standardizes the protocol for the space.
Got it. So how are you evangelizing it? Who are you going to convince and get them to get on board?
Well, on the TBD side, obviously you're better equipped to speak to that. I think one of the things we think about a lot at Circle is how do you bring the power of stablecoin and USDC to the masses? So first off, we're having a conference today. Over the course of the next couple of days, we hope to be able to share the power of stablecoin. And again, while the crypto trading aspect of stablecoin is prominent, we're thinking about the next billion users. And so one of the interesting things are that institutions are coming to us about this use case, and those companies can build on top of TBD. So mainstream institutions that are here with us at Converge today are thinking about, how do I send money around the world? Whether it's to family and friends or to actually businesses.
Yeah.
Or the B2B payout use case. How do I do that? And this is a great opportunity for them to build.
How do you simplify if I'm McDonald's, right, and I have operations in South Korea? How can I take those revenues, let's say I'm building a factory in France or something, and convert it to euros and do that in a way that's frictionless, seamless, and at scale?
Secure, fast, that's
compliant.
And compliant.
That's something that really hasn't been solved today. There's a lot of DEXs that do incredible work facilitating atomic swaps, but what hasn't really been solved in this space yet is compliance, right? How do you bring regulated institutions that have compliance obligations and regulatory obligations into the space? What also hasn't been solved is the intersect between the real world and the digital world. You can't atomically swap your shirt for Bitcoin. I need to know you are who you are. I need to know there's a real shirt. I need to know where to send it to you. Like, the minute you nexus upon the real world and commerce in the real world, you actually need to solve these really hard problems that haven't yet been solved in the space. And that's what TBDEX does. And we see USDC and stablecoin as a critical bridge for facilitating these transactions.
So what does that DEX look like today? Could I go, visit the URL and start trading esoteric cryptocurrencies, or?
We're building right now, and so we're building in the open. Our entire strategy is open source, and so you can go into our GitHub right now. We have contributor codes that were, guidelines for the industry that we're laying out, where anyone in the community can really view the code, contribute to the code. We post our ideas actually even before we've started coding, because getting contributions from the community is so incredibly important for us, and building this in a way that involves the community and isn't proprietary and isn't ultimately controlled by TBD is incredibly important for mass adoption.
Interesting. So walk me through how you guys even got set up. What's the origin story of TBDEX?
Yeah, so for TBD, we are the newest business unit at Block, and it really continues Block's mission of economic empowerment, where with Square, we served lots of small businesses and entrepreneurs that were viewed too risky to even be considered, worthy of the business of banks, right? Mm-hmm. And we were able to serve them very well. Over the last 5 years, a lot of the work I and my team have done have been with Cash App, where we served a whole generation of consumers that were also unbanked and not served very well. And with TBD, it really does extend that mission, but it extends it to developers and it extends it into the decentralized financial space. And so the big vision is creating a world where we're actually able to return ownership and control of your personal data, your personal finances, as well as your identity back to you. And we're building a developer platform that's open source to set new standards for the industry around identity, around payments, in order to really enable anyone around the world to benefit from crypto. Regardless of what identity you have, you can create a self-sovereign identity wallet. Regardless of who you are, there's no intermediary you need permission from in order to start transacting and engaging with the global economy. And we think that's really powerful in extending Block's purpose.
Do you think that the wallet is going to be a core, or the core rather, of what our digital identities are going to be?
I think it's going to be a really important one. And the reason we're building it and we're building it open source is we don't really see anything out there that does a great job of holding your self-sovereign identity, holding multi-currencies in ways that facilitate the use cases we're talking about, including with USDC. And we think it's incredibly empowering. Kash talked about the remittance use case, but there's other use cases such as the person in Argentina living in a country with 80-90% inflation, can't get access to US dollars, can't get access to US dollar bank accounts. The ability for this person to be able to just download a wallet from the App Store, transact and have the on-ramps to be able to get from Argentinian pesos into USDC and stable coins, be able to access the DeFi space while preserving wealth that would otherwise erode, and yet be able to have easy off-ramps to be able to get back into pesos when he needs to pay rent. That's incredibly empowering, not just for the Argentinian, but for lots of countries and people around the world.
I just got pumped up.
Yeah.
That was great.
Makes me want to go to Argentina.
Yeah.
And then there's folks like me who want to be able to, ape into a wide range of coins very easily with my credit card.
Nothing wrong with aping.
Nothing
wrong
there
with
in
that.
the DEX. You know who does that Rainbow wallet? You can do that with
Yeah.
$500, I think. There's a limit. I wonder if maybe that's a regulatory limit, but you can use right in your Apple Pay on Rainbow. You can directly spend via your wallet, or into your wallet rather, which is pretty cool.
It might be a compliance limit.
Yeah.
Like AMLU and KYC.
Yeah, you can only do like 500.
Yeah.
So how does that work? How can I send a large amount of USDC via the tools that you guys are building? What are the regulatory parameters around that?
Well, so first let's talk about what Circle does. So
Yeah.
we provide infrastructure for businesses to easily convert dollars into USDC and back out. And we operate across multiple blockchains. We make some announcements today about new blockchains that we're going to be supporting. And so we work with businesses of all types across many different industries to give them the infrastructure and the pipe to be able to move money in and out. Now, we KYC and AML those customers that get access to our tools. And so there is no threshold about how much USDC they can mint or how much they can redeem. It's one for one, redeemable 24/7 at scale. It is up to the businesses to determine what kind of services they want to offer to their end users. Is it microloans? Is it bigger than that? But in terms of being able to access USDC, we haven't placed a limit on that.
Got it.
Yeah. And similarly with TBD, we're not trying to dictate the amounts. We're not trying to dictate the framework. You can really think of what we've built as a messaging protocol that enables the participants on our network, being wallets, apps, as well as participating financial institutions, to negotiate that amongst themselves. And so if you're a financial institution on TBDEX running a liquidity node, if you're based in Mexico, you can say, hey, I'm based in Mexico. These are my regulations. Are you willing to provide me the data I need to meet that threshold? This is how much I can provide for you. If I'm a second participant in the US, I'm subject to the BSA. I have a different regime that I'm compliant to. And so, Frank, you can think of it as, you, Frank, with your Rainbow wallet, you want USDC, you've got a US dollar credit card, you put the bid out, and the many different financial institutions on the TBDEX network will be able to bid for your business and say, hey, Frank, like I can give you 100 USDC. Someone else could say, my limit is 1,000, and this is like my ask from you to establish trust that you're not trying to money launder, you're not trying to finance terrorism. And so long as you can meet that threshold, it's a negotiated
I'm not, but I can't make any promises about being.
Exactly. Hence, everyone can be on the network and negotiate trust amongst themselves, and that's really powerful.
So who do you see expressing interest about joining the network? You mentioned financial institutions sort of providing that liquidity. Do you think big banks or other types of large financial services companies might be contributing to some extent or a participant of TBDEX at some point?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the inbound of interest we received since we launched has been remarkable. I mean, just the number of hits to our developer site, the number of people commenting, the number of people asking, when will these components be feature ready? We can't wait to get started.
When ready?
When ready, absolutely, this fall. And so we have some significant launch partners that we haven't yet announced, but these are global scale partners that want to get involved, see the future as one that's decentralized, see the power of that, and want to help seed the network with identity data, with financial data, with liquidity, wallets that are interested in these use cases as well. Like, we're really excited to get started.
I'm sure you have people banging down your door to learn more about stablecoin.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously an interesting time today with what's going on in overall crypto activity as a whole, but more specifically what's going on with crypto, with USDC and stablecoin. We think, obviously there's regulation that we believe is going to be coming soon. And so the stablecoin opportunity is immense. Right now we have about 50 billion of USDC in circulation. We're thinking about...
Is that in Jeremy's house?
No, it's very safe and secure in financial institutions. But we're thinking about what does that look like at 500 billion or $1 trillion, and what are the use cases and what are the businesses that are empowering that, and how does Circle scale? But yes, when I first started at Circle 2.5 years ago, most of the conversations I was having were with startup crypto native NFT platforms that were just, Dapper had just launched. They just went nuts with their drops. Now the types of conversation we're having, although that's still true with crypto native startups that are joining, mainstream institutions. Like what's USDC? Why? How can it help me? And so while I'm not saying they're jumping in ready to launch tomorrow, many of these companies are investing a lot of resources behind this to figure out how stablecoin can help them in their overall global payment operations. And so that's what's really exciting for us.
And what do you say to them?
Well, what we say to them is that using the open internet, using blockchain technology, you're able to transmit value at the speed of the internet and unlocking access to hundreds of millions of people, billions of people at a fraction of the cost securely. That's what we say to them. So that lights up their eyes. And so then you need to figure out, okay, the infrastructure is getting there. The consumer experience and the UX, and this is a lot of the stuff that Emily and her team are working on in terms of the infrastructure, that's not there quite yet. And so how do these businesses get involved? How do they help businesses and consumers move money around the world with the same ease that they might be able to do in TradFi? That's not there quite yet, but that's what we're building.
Yeah, understood. When we think about the sort of parameters that you guys are collaborating on together, the set of open standards, what are the standards?
Yeah, I mean, the standards that we're striving for, well, first that we should say that with TBD and Block in general, we're very interested in collaborating on establishing standards for the overall ecosystem. What should the standards be? And bringing in major players that can help contribute to that. So I'm not going to sit here and say that all those standards have been decided and necessarily followed, but things like how well regulated are you? If you have stablecoin legislation, what does it mean to reserve USDC or other stablecoins? What does it mean for the accessibility of stablecoin? So all of those things, I think, go back to the trust notion that Emily was talking about. People have to trust that they'll be able to onboard and offboard, on-ramp and off-ramp seamlessly, never thinking that it's going to break $1. And so what are those standards that we need to establish? And we've talked quite a bit about that with the TBD team and the Block team around creating a standards policy and organization that can get there. Those conversations are in the works.
Yeah, and I would add to that, open source is really core to TBD. And so setting open standards, open technologies, just transparent standards that aren't locked in by any proprietary players That's really, really important for global scale adoption. So that's something that we're very excited to collaborate with Circle on. And if you even look back to the origins of the internet, we're talking about building the next wave of the internet now. You go back to the origins were built on open source. If we were to wave a magic wand today and make open source go away, your computer right there would go dark, your iPhone would go dark, your Android phone would go dark. Like literally planes would fall from the sky because so much of the world's innovation has been catalyzed by open source. Open source really is the foundation of trust and massive global scale innovation. And so when we're talking about catalyzing a new layer of the internet for identity, a new payments layer, we really need it to be at its core open for the entire industry to trust it, to contribute to it, to make it better. This to be really the new standard that we're building for the future.
So when we think about the remittance use case, sending money, I think it's starting with the U.S. to Mexico, where do people go? Like who are going to build the wallets? Who's developing the actual venue through which I can transfer money?
Yeah, so with Block, we're doing it ourselves as the first example of how it can be done. We ourselves are a money transmitter regulated in all 50 states. We ourselves have a bank, our ILC. And so what we think is really powerful is if we can stand up and say, hey, as a public company and as a fully regulated organization, we can show you how it can be done. We can then open source the playbook for people to copy us, right? So today, with our US to Mexican corridor, we're setting up the payments rails on the US side. We have payments rails on the US side. We're working with Circle on the stablecoin piece. We're working with liquidity partners to translate that USDC back into Mexican pesos when people want fiat. And we're working with regulated bank partners in Mexico that have access into the entire Mexican banking system such that the person receiving the remittance can basically go to any bank in Mexico, any OXXO, any Walmart, any Chedraui, do cash pickup or do pickup at any of the 50,000 ATMs. That's incredibly powerful because that person doesn't even need to know there was crypto behind the scenes. The tools that we're building can completely abstract away that complexity and just allow that person to know, I got my fiat cheaper, faster, better, because it was built on some new system that wasn't a daisy chain and mesh of old school correspondent banks.
That's pretty crazy. Get ready for Season 3 of the Tron Grand Hackathon 2022. There are a total of $1.2 million in prizes up for grabs in Web3, DeFi, GameFi, NFTs, and the newly added Academy and Ecosystem tracks. So what are you waiting for? Join Tron for an opportunity to showcase your work, win funding for your project, and network with other builders in the community. Tron Grand Hackathon, presented by TronDAO. To learn more, visit trondao.org.
Do you ever send USDC to friends, family?
To friends and family? I don't think USDC. I've sent crypto to my mother. I set up a wallet for her some time ago. USDC, though, no, only coming to me.
Right. So you're sending them crypto, and they're holding on to it as a speculative asset, right?
Yeah.
Right.
I had extra tickets to some conference that someone had, and I sold them for him and got USDC and gave him USDC. So I think that was one example.
Right. Well, I mean, I think that's part of the dream, right? Where you're able to transfer USDC to someone around the world, and that someone is able to access fiat instantly, quickly, securely. That's phase one, we think. What we would really love to see is that USDCs actually, it can be actioned wherever they are. So these wallets have cards tied to them, et cetera. So now you can really use it. And to Emily's point, you don't have to know it's crypto. You have financial value that you can leverage.
When you think about the future, when I go into Coinbase, right, you can have your USDC balance. It's effectively treated the same as your cash balance. Is there a future where I log into Chase and that is actually USDC?
Well, it could be. So if you think about USDC as a payment rail, that's essentially what that would happen, is that when you're depositing funds into Chase in the future, we're talking about in the future here.
Yeah.
But if you're depositing funds into your financial institution, they might be benefited to actually convert that into USDC to take advantage of blockchain, to take advantage of the powers that the blockchain infrastructure has. And to you, it's still showing up as a dollar. It's still represented as a dollar because that is what the value of it is. But the underpinning is leveraging the blockchain infrastructure to move USDC around the world instantly. I do think that that's something we're very hopeful to see in the future.
That'd be pretty cool.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Right? The entire financial infrastructure, financial institutions are leveraging open blockchain infrastructure. And to you, the user, it's just a dollar.
Yeah. Why not create your own stablecoin?
Well, I think we've always been of a mind that we don't need to recreate the wheel where it already exists. And Circle's done an incredible job of creating a stablecoin that's transparent, that's trusted, that's stable. Core to stablecoins is the property of stability. And so they've been great partners to us. And with the adoption that they have, they've really found product market fit and network effects. Like, we really just think it's exciting to support them as opposed to trying to create something of our own when there's already a great solution on the market.
Do you guys do white label stuff?
No.
No, not today. Is there a potential for that?
We're very confident in what USDC can bring to the market and the value that USDC has for institutions. So I would not say we have any plans for white labeling our stablecoin. The use cases for USDC are very large and a lot of opportunities, but we're not offering it as a white label solution.
Got it. So how's the conference going for you guys? Have you heard anything interesting? What are people talking about?
Yeah.
I guess we haven't, technically this hasn't been announced, so you haven't had
It hasn't been
people
announced.
hitting your inbox with questions.
Yeah, well, I mean, conference officially started this morning. I got through my 15-minute fireside chat. I got off and I called my mom and I was like, I didn't fall. I didn't fall. I don't think I did anything stupid. But it's great. We had Kevin O'Leary as one of the featured speakers. Jeremy spoke with Vitalik.
Who interviewed Kevin?
We had a reporter come in and do that. And it was really good. I mean, you know, his big gripe is exactly what we're talking about. It's like his businesses send money around the world and it's expensive for him to do that. And so he wants a regulated stablecoin that can help move money around the world. So that was his message. But yeah, Jeremy spoke with Vitalik and that was really interesting. And so we have a series of other events and other speakers, but obviously with this partnership with Block, we're really, really excited about.
Yeah. I mean, this conference has been really impressive to me.
First one.
It's a bang up job that you guys did. The speaker roster is really fantastic. This venue is great. The tiny room that we have here.
It's really zen.
It's very zen.
It's like you get to know one another.
Very minimalist.
And we've got Serena Williams and Charlize. Oh my God, talk about like setting the bar high for a first conference.
We got Serena coming up. Yeah, absolutely. We're really, really excited about all that.
What's the relationship between Serena and... Is there a relationship there?
We don't have a formal relationship.
No. She invests in crypto, though.
Yeah, she's shown a lot of interest in this space. And so we don't have a formal relationship there.
I think she might be... Was she on the board of Coinbase now? Or an investor in Coinbase? I can't remember. Emily and Kash are sharing a mic. You might not even notice. It's very tight.
Yeah, we were saying it's lucky we like each other.
Yeah, we love each other.
Yeah, this is great.
Yeah. Well, you have to when you're building the future of finance together. It'd be awkward if you didn't get along. What do you think are some of the challenges or headwinds that you guys can face in doing this?
I think there's a lot on the regulatory side that has yet to be clarified. Just how stablecoins will be governed, how they will be issued in the future. There's still a lot of questions there that will have an obvious impact on the shape of things to come. And so that's something we're watching carefully and also working to help educate policymakers on. This conversation is very relevant because it just showcases the power of stablecoins and crypto and all of the really great things it can unlock for people globally. And so we're really hoping to be part of showcasing like the positives as people start to get smart on the space and develop policies around the space.
I think to add on to that, in my view, and I'm sure, Emily, you've seen the same thing, in order for the right policy to be set, people have to understand it. And today, Frank, you know this, the average person doesn't quite get it. Right. And so when Emily talks about opening the door for the next 1 billion people, like what does that actually mean? Do they need to know what blockchains are? Do they need to know about interoperability? Do they need to know about all those things? Or should it just work? And so I think from an industry perspective, I think we still have a ways to go to make it simple. Why does it matter? What are the real world use cases? And, you can follow crypto Twitter, and there's a lot of skeptics and cynics out there around real world use cases. And so that's what we're building, and that's a challenge that we have to overcome.
Yeah. I think that part of it might even be the name, right? It's funny. I feel like stablecoin has become the word to describe what this is because of how unstable the rest of crypto is. So it's like, this is the stable coin.
You couldn't be more right.
And I know Mr. Allaire has often said that he wished people opted for digital dollar, but this is the word that we have, stable coin, but maybe it's not the best word. You
might see some more, at least on the Circle side, more examples of us trying to leverage digital cash, digital dollar.
Digital cash.
Moving forward.
Internet of, the value.
Yeah. We just recently did a website rebrand.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And so like on our homepage, it's like, the power of money, moving money at the speed of the internet, and to try to give a voice and make it easier to consume for the average person.
Yeah. Because I think if people look at this and think it's crypto, if it's in the word, gets them a little nervous.
Yeah. I mean, so again, delineating between, the crypto, crypto is not a bad thing. Crypto is, we believe in it, but just getting more people to understand it. Sometimes it's hard when crypto winter is out and about and most people are seeing negative headlines.
Yeah. When you have, billions of dollars sucked out of the industry after the collapse of what had been called a stablecoin, you're kind of lumped together with these things.
And that's why this partnership, I think, is so exciting. Is like when people understand you're able to send money around the world. You're able to send money from the United States to Mexico seamlessly. We're hoping that these types of announcements will overcome the negativity.
Emily, what type of traction are you expecting to see between that U.S.-Mexican corridor over the next year? We talking, millions, tens of millions?
I think it's TBD, just like our name. There was 40 billion that was sent in 2021. So it is certainly one of the largest corridors in the world. And as you can imagine, we have a lot of consumers on the Block platform. Just even with Cash App, our top demographics are African American and Latino. And so there's a lot of intersects that we're exploring. But for us, it's less around how many users we can get because we are an infrastructure play. And it's much more about us having chosen this as the hardest use case we could possibly imagine building a pilot for, right? To prove out the use of stable coins, to prove out the components of TBDEX that we're building out open source. It's really a major reference implementation that showcases how this can be done with multiple regulated parties across 2 different countries and regulatory jurisdictions, with a stable coin in between 2 different fiats, right? Both a custody wallet and a non-custody wallet. It's every permutation of hard that we've intentionally chosen to solve for, where, ultimately when it's built on TBDEX, it'll showcase for people, like, if we can build this as a regulated institution and to do it in a compliant way for such a powerful use case, like, use your imagination. Every other institution can join us in building cool things like this or other things we haven't even thought of.
100%. There's just a whole wide range of possibilities. Very excited for you guys. Congratulations on the partnership.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, what do you think will happen next? What should we expect, maybe that we didn't talk about from both groups, maybe even if it's not intertwined with each other?
For us, you can continue to see a focus on stablecoin infrastructure. We've obviously have had good success with USDC. We recently launched Eurocoin. And so we're going to continue building out infrastructure for other fiat.
You guys timed the top on that Eurocoin launch.
You like that?
That was pretty impressive.
You like that? Yeah. I can't say that I was holding a crystal ball or anyone at Circle was, but it was really good.
Do you think that there'll be a USD version of every currency at one point?
It's hard to tell. I don't know if every currency, but the major currencies of the world that are, I think, in need and have the same challenges.
And you have to talk to them. You have to talk to the regulators and the politicians. I imagine, like, if you just woke up one day and decided to launch like a coin tied to some government, they'd be like, "What? What are you doing?"
Yeah. So that's we have an entire team dedicated to global policy and working with regulators around the world. we think that has helped us with USDC, that regulation.
Well, I mean,
approach.
Jeremy has been a pioneer on that front.
Right.
He was in DC before people in crypto even knew where DC was.
Right. So I'm not So I mean, I'm not quite sure. Does every currency have their version? But we think that certainly there's opportunity there for sure.
And what are you most excited about?
We're excited about just driving more use cases that are incredibly empowering. And this fall is actually when our Web 5 decentralized identity platform, the first version of it, is going to be feature complete. So really excited about that. 2023 is when our TBDEX reference implementation will be ready. Our first version of Wallet will be ready. And we'll actually be able to showcase this work between US and Mexico around remittances. And so lots of work ahead, but incredibly exciting milestones to come. And this is where we welcome the community to come build with us and check out what we're building in the open at tbd.website. Our GitHub repository is open. And to ultimately showcase what we can do together with Circle around USDC to drive things like self-custody wallets with off-ramps or remittances around the world. Like, that's really exciting for us.
Fantastic. Well, thank you guys both for joining us today.
This is great. Thank you.
This was fun. Thank you.
Fantastic. We had Emily Chiu, founder and COO of TBD, and Kash Razzaghi, Chief Revenue Officer at Circle. Where can people find you? Not your physical location, but your digital identity, your digital location.
Yeah, so you can find me on Twitter at @Razzaghi.
Yeah, likewise. Emily C. Chiu at Twitter.
And I'm Frank. Thank you guys.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks so much.
Thanks.
The Scoop will be back for you again with another exciting guest, or maybe two. See you soon. Looking for more great insights from The Block? Check out The Block Research, the premier platform for research content on crypto markets and the digital asset industry. The Block Research membership includes cutting-edge reports, webinars, company maps, and more, available via our dedicated research portal. Visit theblockresearch.com to find out how to join today, or contact a member of our sales team at sales@theblockcrypto.com and let them know that Frank sent you.